We are back.
With another story.
I'm drunk. I'm not drunk, but
She's drunk.
This is my
She
second
is drunk.
Baileys.
And she is a lightweight. Always have been lightweight, apart from the time. Are we going to talk about this now? Do you want to talk about this?
Go on then.
Can we talk about
We can
this?
talk about this.
Apart from the time she got spiked by the biggest villain in Tenerife. In fact, we all got spiked, but I, myself and her sister Julia, we realised before we drank it. Well, in fact, I think it was Julia that realised, because she just looked at me and went, as in, don't drink that. And before we know it, look at her, she's done the whole
I
drink.
downed it.
She downed it.
Downed it.
And before you know it, I mean, this girl that is a lightweight was all of a sudden not a lightweight, and she was having the best
A ball.
time. And we weren't so much, because
No.
we realised what happened. But you was on a bike riding around a nightclub.
I actually went and got a push bike and rode it around Bobby's bar in Tenerife, didn't I?
You did.
Rode the full circuit around. Had a wonderful
A
night.
packed bar.
Packed.
But
Bibbing
not only
everyone
that,
out
this
the
is when I
way.
knew this wasn't you, because this totally is not you. You got your glass and you smashed it against the wall, full glass of drink, and she just threw it against the wall and smashed it. And I thought, hold up.
Hold up.
Something
This is out of character.
Something, and we had to drag her out of that bar, kicking and screaming because she wanted to say so much. You were having the best night.
Was I spiked by the biggest gangster in
I
Tenerife?
don't remember them. They were awful. And someone said, just watch she drinks, watch she drinks. And then Julia had actually seen him do it, pour it in our drinks. And he like stirred it round. And she just looked at me and was like, no. She pulled me.
Oh, thanks for warning me.
I remember she dragged me into the toilet with the drink, and she just made me pour it down the toilet. And then we came out. Well, it was too late by then, wasn't it?
Too late.
She'd done
I
it.
was.
She was having the time of her life, because, you know, one thing about Lisa, she is not that type of girl to take drugs. She's the biggest lightweight when it comes to drinks. She only needs a couple of drinks, and she's the best laugh. I mean, she is anyway. She doesn't even need a drink. But you've never been into your drugs. You've never been into drinking loads. You're just, you know, a good, fun girl. And so we knew there was something up when you started
Something's wrong.
smashing glasses on a wall.
Yeah, like I was at a Greek wedding,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
We literally had to drag you out of there,
Yeah.
kicking and screaming.
Kicking and screaming, I didn't want to go home. So that was one of our other. We've got so many memories, haven't we, Sash?
Well, we do.
I'm going to touch on, because I know the last episode we touched on. Layla introduced me to my daughter Layla's dad.
No, you mean Sasha. She's drunk.
I'm drunk.
She's drunk.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Sasha.
Sasha.
Sasha
Not Layla.
introduced me to Layla's dad.
Yeah, I don't remember where we were. We was in London.
I do.
Where?
We were in Titanic. Titanic.
We were.
In London, and I wasn't going to go out, if you remember.
Yeah.
And
Because you were quite hard sometimes to drag out, because you just like to be a cup of tea,
with Harley,
with Harley, watching TV.
Yeah.
Just
didn't
snuggled
want to go
up.
out. Yeah,
She never wanted to go out.
never wanted to go out.
And another thing, I know we're going to like change the subject completely, but whenever I used to go and stay, because I used to go down to my mum and dad's all the time, she used to put Harley to bed and never come down. And she put him to bed about 5 o'clock.
I was.
But, do you remember?
Yeah, I do. I used to say I was going to put Harley to bed because Harley wouldn't go to bed without me.
Of course he wouldn't.
Never.
Of course he wouldn't.
Because we were like attached at the hip. So I'd say to everyone, I won't be long, I'm just going to put Harley to bed. And I remember my dad used to go, good night, see you in the morning. And like you say, it was 5 p.m.
She never came back.
Never came back.
Anyway,
So,
going back to the story,
going back to
Titanic.
Walked to the Titanic. Just so you know, Harley was 4. Hadn't really gone on dates, had I? Hadn't really put myself back out there. And we walked in, and I saw this 6'2", dark, good-looking guy, wasn't he?
Very
I know you can't stand him.
No,
but
it's
He
not
was
that I can't
good
stand
looking.
him, he just wasn't a very nice person to you, but he is very good looking, yes.
Yeah.
You have to give him that.
And as we walked in, I said to Sasha, oh my God, look at him. And she went, hold on a minute. Somebody hold me up. Because it was the first time you'd heard me say that, wasn't it? Half an hour later, I look over, you were paralytic.
Oh, yeah.
I was driving.
I wasn't
drinking.
Always.
Always paralytic.
Always.
I was driving and I see her dragging said good looking over to me like this by his shirt. His shirt was undone though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I should have known then. Do you remember?
Mm-hmm.
She's dragged him over to me and said, Oz, Uggers, whatever his name was.
We never knew how to
We
pronounce
still don't
it.
know his name to this day, even though I married him. This is Lisa. This is my friend Lisa. And she walked off. And me and Oz, Uggers, just looking at each other like, hi.
And you
I
would have
was
been, she
so
was
out of touch.
sober as a judge. She
Sober
was
as a
driving.
judge.
And there was me just paralytic, just putting them across and then just leaving them to it. But what I do very much remember about that night, because I don't remember much more about that particular time, but then straight away afterwards we ended up in an Italian, didn't we,
Yeah.
in Soho.
In Soho, about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and he was also driving.
He was driving.
And he was driving, because I remember taking the piss out of it, a bright yellow Audi TT,
Should have run.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or was it yellow or orange
It
or
was yellow.
something?
Bright yellow, hairdressers, Audi TT.
And I remember saying, who the fuck drives a car like that?
Yeah. I said apparently Oz, Uggers, Ooze.
He just squeezed himself in it and off he
How
went.
did he get in?
And then the rest is history. But that is another story.
That
isn't
is
it?
another story. And out of all of that, because that didn't go great, did it?
Not so much.
Out of all of that, I got the most beautiful daughter in the whole
You
world.
got your girl.
I got my
and
girl.
She's the most gentle, beautiful, inside and out girl.
Yeah, yeah.
And you
So-
are very, very lucky to have her.
Thanks
She
for
is.
that.
No, she is. Very,
Thanks to
very-
Sasha.
Yeah. Oh, actually, yes.
Thank you to
You
you.
do need to thank me for that.
But I want to move on talking about cars. Sasha, and this bit isn't funny, had a really bad car crash. Didn't you?
Very bad.
No, she did. I can't even joke about that. She
21.
did.
That was 21.
21 years old.
With my friend, our
In-
friend Karen.
In fact, we'd all been out, and I lived in Ladbroke Grove, and me and Margot, who I live with, went back to the flat. And then about 3 hours later,
Yeah, because I
we
picked.
got a phone call.
I had picked. That's where I came from, and I was
Yeah.
with Karen,
Yeah,
and I picked the car up from Ladbroke Grove, and I was driving to
Home?
Watford. No, to pick up my friend to go out for dinner. Lisa, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, ended up having this awful car crash, and I ended up looking like the Elephant Man. I hit my head on the
was
steering
awful.
wheel, bit down on my teeth, literally spat out 4 teeth. It was horrendous, but I don't actually remember any of it because it was so traumatizing.
no, it was bad.
No, it was.
And the awful thing was, we didn't see you for a while, and then I spoke to your mum, and I remember her mum saying, you know, you can come over, and you were in bed.
Yeah.
And me and Margot drove there, went to see her, and honestly, all jokes aside, I remember walking in and actually thinking, fucking hell, like your head,
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole of this, wasn't it?
I had to have my head drained about 3 or 4 times
Yeah.
because it was so swollen that my eyes were literally like slits where the trauma had just like worked its way down. The whites of my eyes were blood red. But the worst bit for me was I'd literally like smashed down my teeth and my bottom teeth. I'd smashed 3 teeth at the bottom. I just chipped them very badly, and I ended up literally like spitting them out. I mean, it was awful.
They didn't have a licence, did they?
No, he was like a kid. It was like a kid that didn't even have a licence and blah, 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 whatever, yes.
It's giving me a headache, sorry. I remember, being in the bedroom with Sasha, but after a while, and I'll tell you what I noticed, she kept repeating herself, like she'd say
Well,
to
I
me,
did, I had a head injury, so it was like... full
yeah,
on.
it was awful. And at first, I was really concerned. I remember talking to your mum, and your mum said, don't worry, this is normal.
And ever since, I've done it.
Yeah.
Ever since, haven't
Repeat
I
yourself.
haven't stopped.
Yeah.
People say to me all the time still.
What, like, shut the fuck up, you told me that
You've
half an
told me
hour
that
ago.
100 times.
Yeah, it's boring now.
It's boring.
But after a while, Sasha came back to work and life had to go on, but she didn't look great, I'm not going to lie. And that's not in a pretentious way. You still had that egg
massive egg on the head. I mean, it was very unfortunate.
It was awful.
Karen, bless her, she got very injured as well. She broke her leg in 4 places, but she came out looking, stunning still. But I was the full-on
Yours was head injuries,
head,
wasn't it?
no teeth, a big massive lump, black eyes. I mean, I looked horrendous.
But I missed my partner in crime, and I thought, she needs to start coming back out again.
I was off work for 3 months.
3
It took
months.
ages to kind of recover.
And we used to go out every week, didn't we? And I thought, no, she needs to start living again.
I was on crutches, put it this
Yeah,
way.
she was on
I was on
crutches
crutches.
with no teeth and an egg on her head.
Yeah.
But me selfishly, at 23, 24...
She told me I
was
looked
older.
fine.
I told her she looked absolutely fine. It was time for her to get back out there on the club scene. So we went to Legends in New Burlington Street. And I'll never forget.
How they even let me in, I do not know.
I think they thought it was a fancy dress.
I think they must have thought something was
But
going
they did
on.
let her in. And I'll never forget. We were in the toilets. And a girl come out the toilet.
She was
look
probably
at
off
Sasha.
her nut. Yeah.
And
Screamed.
Screamed. At Sasha.
And I was like, what am I doing?
No. Sasha looked at her to say, she's
What?
clearly taken a pill or something. What's wrong
Well,
with
that's
that?
what I just said. She's probably off a nut.
Probably
Yeah.
off a nut. But what I wanted to say was,
No, you look
Sash,
terrible.
you look fucking scary. But I didn't.
But
because
that's
I'd
how
encouraged
selfish
her.
she was. She made me go out looking like Quasimodo.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, I did.
But another time, there used to be these, where we worked in Hyper Hyper, there was a fire station next door. We got really friendly with all the firemen there, do you remember? And I don't think you liked anyone. It wasn't like that. They were just our mates, weren't they?
And I didn't like anyone. I was still in love with Nigel.
And they invited us out. But I had recovered facially by then, but my teeth were still playing me up. And I remember I had caps on and they kept falling out and blah blah. But I was having something like
Do you know
bridge
who she
made.
looked like? You know that Nan and Tweety Pie?
No, you have to get a picture up.
We'll get a picture up.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember Tweety Pie? The Nan?
No.
Or the Nan from Ice Age with no teeth?
Yeah, basically.
That's what she looked like. But
She told me, didn't notice.
I said, no.
She said to me, "It's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
You look you would not even know." I mean, to be fair, it was my body, so I thought, oh, maybe not. But obviously, I was speaking really weird because the lip had probably collapsed into the mouth at this stage as well.
Yeah, you looked awful. Absolutely awful.
And she made me go out again.
Yeah.
And I remember the whole night just being really super paranoid and just like this. But the things you do for your mates.
I've been a terrible friend, haven't I?
Well, things like that you have.
Yeah. Selfish.
Very selfish.
Very selfish, I have.
Yeah.
And didn't you like one of the firemen?
Probably.
And I remember thinking, she ain't got a chance, she ain't got any teeth. But I never told
I
her
have
that.
teeth now, by the way, everyone. I have teeth now, yeah.
Yeah. And that was one of our nights out. But another night, well, we were always on the club scene, weren't we, Sash? Like, we were out every
Well,
week.
we used to live, well, I mean, I could say I did because I felt like I used to live there, but in Ladbroke Grove, now we had a friend called Margot, and that's who Lisa used to live with in Ladbroke Grove. And she had the most gorgeous little flat, didn't she, in St Charles's Square. And you used to go up some stairs, and it was quite small, 1 bedroom, but you had your sofa bed, and I used to sleep in that sofa bed with you, didn't I? We used to climb out of that kitchen window and sunbathe on the porch roof. Do you remember?
Do you know what I've just thought of?
Go on.
I should never have been a parent, really. Right.
No, I know
Margot, whose flat we lived in, had the most beautiful little boy, Jovan. Stunning,
So
wasn't
cute,
he?
yeah.
Mixed race boy. Anyway, Margot asked me and Sasha to look after him while she went out. So we did, and we took him out, and he was about 5, wasn't he? Took him out.
Again,
Come back-
my maternal skills coming in here as well.
Yeah.
aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. Come back to the flat, and the flat, you'd go in the big door, and we were upstairs, weren't we? Anyway, we've been out with him, we've come in, and we're like, oh, like that's enough of playing mug.
Let's get some chocolate.
Yeah, let's get some chocolate and that, get him to bed. Anyway, we've gone up, gone indoors, shut the door, got our pyjamas on, made a cup of tea, got our chocolate.
We were up there for quite a while.
Yeah, ages. And we're sitting down watching telly, but we kept hearing this little noise. And in the end I was like, what is that? And she's like, I don't know. We kept hearing this noise.
We were like, what the hell? Who's
What the
that?
hell? And then we got a bit scared at one point, like, who is it? And then we went, there's someone at the door. Someone at the bloody door. And we opened the door.
Little Joe
And it was little Jovan. We forgot.
Do you remember his little noises he used to make?
Oh my God, but we forgot. He'd been locked out for about an hour. The moral of the story is don't ever ask her to look after your kid. But
No, now you can.
No,
But
but
back then
Sash,
you
when we opened the door and saw him, how long did we laugh for?
Poor little boy.
Kids, sorry, Margot and Jovan.
Oh, Jovan. I'd love to see them two again.
Yeah, bless
I've got
her.
so many lovely memories in that
of
flat. We used to go there, we used to get the bus into work from there. It's like lovely and central, wasn't it? And we used to sit in that flat. I can't tell you, oh my God, we used to have
The best time.
I used to virtually live in that flat with you, didn't I? I was there all the time.
How many times did the taxi driver have to stop when I was pregnant with Harley to let me be sick?
Oh my gosh, you're ridiculous.
Do you remember?
I used to think you were putting it on.
Yeah, we used to get a cab from Ladbroke Grove to Kensington to work, and the cab driver.
That's when we couldn't get a bus.
Yeah.
She wouldn't get the bus.
I wouldn't get the bus. Oh,
she's a princess.
and we used to get the cab driver to stop every 5 minutes. I was sick, wasn't I? I was so ill.
Of course she was.
Of course she was. And so poor little Jovan. All this transgender, transvestites, it's not new.
No.
It's been going on forever. And Sasha and I, in the world that we were in, of fashion, if you like, we were around it such a lot because of our industry, weren't we?
And that was a good 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
100. No, Sasha, Harley's 28. Where have you been?
All right, 28, 30 years ago.
30 years ago, minimum.
30, yeah, it would have been 30 years.
Minimum. And the people we were around, there was Clarissa, who was a boy, but identified as Clarissa. And
there was David in his pyjamas.
David in his pyjamas. And tiaras. There was Ben Norris, who came for a job at Sasha's unit, and I interviewed him and told him to try some of the stock on while Sasha was in the toilet. She didn't even know he was here. They'd put a job advert out, and this guy came in and said, I've come for the job.
It wasn't even any of my business to interview this guy. I just worked there.
She just worked there.
I had no business interviewing this guy at all. But along come Ben Norris.
And I took it
and
upon
she
myself.
decided to interview him in front of me, just to make me cringe out.
If you remember, you went to the toilet and I told him to go in the change room because I said, do you remember what I said to him? The thing is, we have to wear the stock. And he said, I can do that. Now he was 6'4" beanpole.
Very curly hair, didn't he?
Very curly hair. And he was a lifeguard, if I remember rightly.
Oh yeah, because she was going through his CV. She had his CV in front. Yes. Oh, that come in handy. He was a lifeguard.
He was a lifeguard, and I said that would come very handy at this fashion unit.
Establishment.
But we had so much fun there, didn't we? Yeah. Reverting back to Layla's dad, and Sasha introducing me to Layla's dad, I then introduced Sasha to one of her long-term relationships, Andy, which was one of mine and Layla's dad, Oz, one of his friends, we introduced Sasha to.
Yes.
And that didn't go very well, did it?
No, not so much.
Sort of
I mean, it went on for 6 years. And ended terribly.
Well,
that's all I'm going to say. Very toxic relationship towards the end. It wasn't always that way, but it was towards the end for various reasons that we won't go into. Still scarred.
Layla's dad and Andy, her boyfriend, both cheated on us with the same girl.
Same girl. It was the same girl, which was and I'm not being funny. What a downgrade. And it was a really, really horrible time, and it's awful betrayal. Awful betrayal.
Do you remember when the bank called me up and asked me about how to spell his name? This is my husband of 2 years, and I said, not so much, I don't know.
I don't know.
And they said, how do you pronounce his name? This is why I go,
we just knew it was Oz, but the actual proper pronunciation was
Oggers.
Oz.
We are going to wrap up soon. For some reason, the wheel's spinning, the room is spinning. 2 Baileys later. But Sash, do you remember when I had colonic irrigation? Have any of you at home had colonic irrigation?
Well, I definitely haven't, but I remember the story, very well.
So I went years ago, before it was a real thing, to have colonic irrigation, and in Harley Street, and it was the old school way where they put a tube up your backside and you saw all the waste go through the tube. It still goes up your backside,
It
still goes up your back. But now you get into almost like a bath, and you sit on the tube yourself. You lower yourself.
Very entertaining.
Onto the tube. Whereas when I went, they stuck the tube, And I remember halfway through they'd say to you, go to toilet and finish emptying yourself, which I did. When I come back, I felt a bit disorientated. So I opened the door and walked straight back into reception.
Into the waiting room with people waiting there.
People waiting with
nothing on from the crop top down.
It's just that.
Excuse me. Sorry about that.
I'll go. No, don't get up.
Don't get up, everyone.
Don't get up on my arm. I'll go. Moonwalking back out the door. My whole life's just one big fuck up, to be honest. It always has been.
Very entertaining for all of us, though.
Very entertaining for everyone else. I think that's it really for today, isn't it, Sasha?
Yeah.
If you'd like Sasha to come back, because we do have lots of other stories to tell.
We definitely do.
Just let us know. Follow me. Subscribe. YouTube, Spotify, Amazon and Apple. And thank you so much, Sasha, for coming on here and letting me realise what a complete fuck up my life is.
Cheers to that.
Oh, cheers to that. Bye.
Bye.
Is that it?
Is that it? Is it done?